Welcome to another episode of The Dissection. Fikile Mbalula is back to his colorful rhetoric, his colorful ways. You know, there are two types of Fikile Mbalula. There's Fikile Mbalula, the diplomat, the Nelson Mandela, the GNU ambassador. And then there's Razzmatazz. And Razzmatazz and, Nelson Mandela, they're on two different spectrums in terms of how they conduct rhetoric. And in fact, Fikile Mbalula picked the Nelson Mandela diplomat persona because he wants to really be seen in a different way from how he's been seen historically. But Razzmatazz is back. And this is what he had to say. He has threatened Tony Yengeni with disciplinary action. Here's what he said. Colorful Mbalula, just listen.
Tony Yengeni is nothing else but a political Casanova. And he is spewing vagrant political views and views that are embraced by a few malcontents who are opposed to the ANC. He will be charged. I have informed him through an SMS. I called him. We will charge him. We'll bring him before the disciplinary processes of the ANC so that he explain himself in terms of his membership of the ANC. Not this statement, many other statements he has made. We will charge him and bring him before the disciplinary committee of the African National Congress. Tony Yengeni, Obed Bapela will be charged this year by the ANC disciplinary hearing. And others who are almost drunk, early hours tweeting and all of that, they too will be attended very soon.
You see, I told you that Razzmatazz is back. I think Fikile Mbalula has realized that he needs to put up a fight in the short to medium term, because being diplomatic, being soft is not necessarily going to work out for his strategic intentions. And one of the issues that continues to irk him is the presence of Zuma supporters within the ANC proper. And Tony Yengeni is a Zuma supporter. So he's trying to show that he's willing to clean out the ANC in respect to people who are remaining, who are Zuma supporters. But the question then becomes, is this a good strategy? And is this necessarily the right trigger to get this going? So let's talk about this idea of disciplining members of the party simply because they said something that you don't like on social media. It's a bad idea. I don't think that the ANC should be in a position right now where they are seen to be looking for people who are saying the wrong things on social media, who are tarnishing the party image, who are challenging the party image or anything of that nature. Because if they do so, one, they create a perception that they themselves are a dictatorship, something that they've been accusing Julius Malema of being, something that they've accused MK of being. So now if you are going to say we're looking for people who are saying things on Twitter, that already is going a wrong direction. The other thing is that it seems as if you are against free speech. You're against public discourse. It's a protected right in the Bill of Rights. And to seem as if you're against it at this point, not necessarily going to help you. Also, it's just something that seems to stifle. People don't like all discourse to be stifled. You know, jokes, questions, that kind of thing. If all of a sudden it seems as if there's no room for debate, there's no room for discussion, when you are on the ropes, that's the wrong time to be trying to become authoritarian, etc., etc. Right? The party positions itself as a broad church with lots of room for debate, discourse, discussion, going to conference to tell people that they can't debate, they can't discuss. That's not necessarily going to make you, they're still going to do it. You can't necessarily curtail all discourse, all debate, all rhetoric around issues simply because you don't like it. They're still going to do it, but it's going to make you more unpopular in the organization because now people are tweeting saying, hey, Mbalula might punish me for this. Mbalula might punish me for this. You don't want to be, Sergeant Sabela of controlling discourse. That's level one. I do think that there are some types of discourse which you can be disciplined for and should be disciplined for in an organization such as a political party. However, I don't think the question, what is the capacity of the Nelson Mandela Park Stadium, is the right thing. It's a legitimate question. It's a legitimate question. The stadium is tiny. To take the whole president of South Africa, the whole president of the ANC, to a small stadium has optics that membership should actually ask questions about. It's okay to actually say, let's go to Cape Town. There's nothing about Cape Town that is special for the ANC. ANC wants to contest and challenge in Cape Town in local government elections. ANC is concerned about the treatment of people in Khayelitsha, in Langa, in the Cape Flats. The DA has neglected those communities. You want to challenge that. You want to profile that. All of that is fine. But the stadium is small. In fact, the Nelson Mandela Park Stadium has a capacity of 1,500, according to the architects who built it, ACG, for 18.5 million. That 18.5 million number, I think, needs to be looked at because it's a World Cup stadium. 1,500 people for 18.5 million seems to me to be serious chowing of money. But hey, I'm not an architect. I don't know, so I have to use the word allegedly. But these stadiums that keep being built for large price tags do need to be looked into. Even schools, schools are being built for 8,500 million. And then you go to the school and then you look at the school and then it doesn't make sense why the price tag is 100 million or whatever the case may be. Now, why is it fair to ask about the stadium and the size? Stadium politics do matter and in fact, stadium numbers, attendance, sales, all of these things matter in the world of perception, in the world of assessment. Stadium politics matter because you have to show that you have support, grassroots support. You have to show gravitas. You have to show momentum. There's a reason why people will ask, how many albums did this rapper sell? How many people attended this musician's concert, etc., etc. The public measures and asserts and assesses rather the performance or the organizational health of an entity through some of these public displays of support, momentum, etc. The smaller the stadium is, the smaller your footprint is, these things then send a message to the public that the organization doesn't have funds, doesn't have organizational capacity, doesn't have supporters, all of those things. But when you add the status of the president to all of that conversation, then those metrics become amplified. It's important to take the president of the organization to a space which has got enough gravitas for who they are, particularly if that is the president of the country as well. So the question around, is there enough capacity or is this choice of stadium the right stadium? I don't think that it's a question that deserves disciplinary action or a question that deserves this kind of loud rhetoric. Obviously, Fikile Mbalula is annoyed that this question is being raised by Tony Yengeni, someone who's had a long history with him as an individual. Tony Yengeni took him to the mountain, etc., etc. So this is not somebody that he doesn't have long-term relationships with, the knowledge of. So it's annoying. But I do think that as the SG, he has to pick the moments and the targets correctly. Having said all of that, I do think that the ANC has legitimate reasons to be looking at Tony Yengeni because he's a Zuma supporter. He's a Zuma supporter. And because he's a Zuma supporter, and his presence within the ANC is continuing, as the organization, you have to look at him a certain type of way and say, hey, we have a worry. There's a Zuma supporter here. And we have to be concerned about how he moves, how he posts, etc., etc. But to discipline him for this particular thing, I think that may be overkill. Having said that, there may be value to keeping some, what can we call them, ambassadors to the MK within the ANC. Although there are some who are very opposed to this idea of a what can we call it, a rejuvenation of the ANC through an MK collaboration. That may be the only way that the party may survive and get over 50% long term. Going into 2027, if the Ramaphosa faction or grouping of the party loses, is it going to be so undesirable for them to be able to talk across the fence to the MK and have people within the organization who have relationships across? All I'm saying is that there are no permanent enemies in politics, as they say. Would it be so disadvantageous for them to do this kind of a thing? Having said that, I do think that the question around the stadium is fair. I think Fikile Mbalula is annoyed, but I don't think that it's rational for him to be threatening ANC members with disciplinary action for how they tweet, specifically if they're tweeting within the boundaries of legitimate debate. But I do think that, yeah, obviously Tony Yengeni is a Zuma guy, and you have to treat him with kid gloves. But it is what it is. I don't know what you guys think about the whole situation. Let's have a conversation. Till the next one.